Unit 10 was about operations with polynomials. The first quiz score was questions 1 through 4, adding and subtracting polynomials. Your x squared terms are combined, 3 minus 1. Your x terms, there's only one, you just write it. Your constant terms are combined, 6 plus 10. There's your answer. Written in standard form, we have the largest exponent first, then x, then the numbers. Sum means add, so I'm looking at my x squared terms first. This is 1 minus 10, negative 9, x squared. Next I look at my x terms. Plus 3 plus 1, that's going to be plus 4x. Finally, I look at my numbers. That's 9 minus 5, or plus 5. For these next couple, we're going to distribute the negative, and then we're going to add. So when we distribute that negative, what happens? Well, nothing changes on the left one. But notice everything from the right parentheses is the opposite of what it originally was. So I combine my x squared terms, that's 16x squared. I combine my x terms, that's going to be minus 5x. And then I combine my number terms, that's going to be negative 7. So what does subtract this from this mean? Well, it means you're actually going to take 2x squared plus 8x plus 9, and you're going to subtract from it this first piece. That's what that means. So what happens when we distribute? This becomes minus 2x squared, minus 4x, and minus 10. Then when we combine like terms, the x squareds go away. The x terms, I have 8 minus 4, that's 4x. And the numbers, that's 9 minus 10, which is minus 1. So for this first score, we had to add together, combining like terms. We had to distribute a negative and then add together, combining like terms. A whole bunch of these involve the box method. So many of you struggled with adding negatives and multiplying times tables, or writing things accurately. For example, a lot of people wrote this down, but then they just wrote it as a 3 instead of a negative 3, and that messed up everything else. Remember, we multiply the outside terms. So this gives us a 2x squared, a negative 7x, a negative 6x, and a 21. For each of these, we just take row times column, row times column. We pay attention to the negatives, and we count up how many x's are left. So I'm going to add together all these terms inside the boxes, which means the x terms are combined. And negative 7 minus 6 is negative 13. This is how you set up number 6 using the box method. This gives you 3x squared minus 2x minus 18x and a positive 12. They're both negative. So when you combine like terms, it's these x terms that turn into negative 20x, and everything else stays the same. So first of all, this means the same thing as this. So you set up the box method with x, 11, and 11. This gives you x squared, 11x, 11x, and 121. When you combine like terms here on the diagonal, you end up with x squared plus 22x plus 121. To set up the box method, the x and the 3 go here, 2x squared, negative x, and negative 8. Multiplying rows by columns, you do the numbers first. How many x's are there? 3 total. 3 times 2 is 6. How many x's are there? 2 total. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. How many x's are there? 2 total. A lot of people messed up that one without the numbers. This is negative 3x, negative 8x, and negative 24. When you combine like terms, it's these diagonals that will be combined. So 6 minus 1 is 5. A lot of people mess that part up. Negative 3 minus 8 is negative 11. And that should be a negative 24. Again, we had a is subtracted from. So we were looking at 9x squared minus 3x minus 3x minus 4 squared. First thing to do is the box method. So we take 3x minus 4 times itself. This gives us 9x squared, negative 12x, negative 12x, and a positive 16. I'm going to replace all of that. So I have 9x squared minus 3x minus 9x squared minus 24x plus 16. Notice I combined on the diagonal. Next, I distribute the negative. So if I rewrite this, I have 9x squared minus 3x minus 9x squared plus 24x and minus 16. When I combine like terms, the x squareds go away. 24 minus 3, I have 21x remaining, and then there's a minus 16. So some of you distributed the 3 first. You should have used the box method first. So after doing the box method, which is x and 5 and x and 5, x squared, 5x, 5x, and 25, we have 3 times x squared plus 10x, combining like terms here, plus 25, plus 2 times x plus 5, plus 4. So we distribute, we have 3x squared plus 30x plus 75, plus 2x plus 10 plus 4. If I combine like terms, there's only one x squared. I can combine a couple different x's here. I have 30 and 2, so that's 32x. And then for the numbers, there's 75 and 10 and 4. So that gives me plus 89. So this was one grade. It was multiplying polynomials. We started off with just the basic 2 binomials, used the box method. Then we had one binomial squared, which is really the same thing, a binomial times a trinomial, and then we had some word problems where you had to figure out how to set it up and what order to do things in. Remember, always you do the squared part first, and then you distribute. Whether you're distributing numbers or negatives, and then you combine like terms. This one we're only dividing each term by 2, so this becomes 4p cubed minus 4p squared plus 3p. Notice my letters and exponents did not change at all because I was only dividing by a number. So it was just 8 divided by 2, negative 8 divided by 2, and 6 divided by 2. This one, I divide the numbers. 10 divided by 5 gives me 2. 25 divided by 5 gives me minus 5. And 20 divided by 5 gives me plus 4. Then for the exponents, this is, each of these I'm going to minus 2. So I had z to the 5th minus 2, that's z to the 3rd. Z to the 4th minus 2, that's z squared. Z to the 3rd minus 2, that's z. So you could have written it out like this, and some students did. And that might have helped you figuring out what exactly to simplify and what to subtract from your exponents. And there was your answer. To factor something completely, you're looking for the greatest common factor. So think of 72 as 9 times 8, and think of 63 as 9 times 7. They share a factor of 9. So what that means is I can divide both by 9. And when I divide, I can put it outside the parentheses, and I write what's left, 8 plus 7x. And if you do this right, you can then work backwards and end up back where you started. But again, this part right here is your answer. To factor, you first find the greatest common factor, divide it out, which means it goes in front of the parentheses. The next couple were all about greatest common factor, but they involved letters. So here we divided out an x, which means we put an x in front. And that reduced our exponent from 3 to 2. And for the next part, what is x divided by x? It's just 1. So again, if we work backwards and distribute, we end up with 5x to the 3rd minus x, which is where we started. So this is the correct answer. Next up, they both have an x. They don't both have a y. So I'm going to divide both by x again. This gives me y squared plus x to the 3rd. Notice what happens if I was to distribute. I would end up back where I started. I would end up with xy squared plus x to the 4th. So for each of these, I just subtracted 1 from the exponent. That's why 4 became x to the 3rd. And 1x divided by x just became 1. Some people put a 1 there. You could have. You didn't have to. The last one had x's and y's. So you divide by the smallest number for each. The smallest number of x's is 1. The smallest number of y's is 4. This goes in front of the parentheses, and we put a 1 here as a placeholder. Because if we were to distribute this, this becomes xy to the 4th, and this becomes x3y4. So this is our answer.